Welcome to Game Stompers Look Back at all the arcade games of 1978. First up, we have 3D Bowling. This is definitely the next iteration of the bowling series by Meadows Games, and although the attempt at 3D perspective is commendable, it just doesn't quite feel right. You have this little man at the bottom, and it's much too small, and the ball doesn't quite roll smoothly down the lane to where you think it should always go. And it's tough to consistently get strikes, although the spares seem to be fairly easy. Simply bowl straight and knock them all down. I do like the animations, and the entire 10 frames for a single quarter is very generous. I naturally had to keep playing with some strategic saves to see if anything special happened with the perfect 300 game. It didn't. Atari Football. I remember some guys in the arcade actually playing this with great intensity, hitting the trackball as hard as they could, as fast as they could make it spin. Yeah, it sort of pales in comparison to the incredible sports games we have now, but it was a fun game and capable enough simulation at the time. It's a pretty complex game where you pick your initial play based on control panel layouts, and then you try and execute that play. It's only 2-player, however, so it's not all that easy to just jump in and learn these days. Atari really focused on converting real-world activities into video game versions. I don't like the 90 seconds per quarter limit, though. Seems like it should have been at least 120 seconds, or, stair-step up if you put more quarters in or something. Next up is Atari MiniGolf. This is not bad. This is just what you'd expect from a top-down mini-golf game. You pick your direction of the shot, you press quickly for minimal power shot, or hold for more power and a longer shot. It will just bounce away then until it drops in the hole, you hope. The game cycles through a total of 16 different holes and gives you 30 shots total per quarter. Although, if you wait until an on-screen prompt, you can get an extra 5 shots by inserting the quarter at just the right time. After a little practice, I completed all 16 holes in just 47 shots. That's 1 under par of 48. This actually gave me the rating of a pro. Recognition for skills is so nice. Avalanche or Cascade. Same game, different name. Hey, admittedly, a mouse simply can't compete with the old paddle controllers. But even so, this is a fun, entertaining, and easy to learn Atari release. This is a Pong-style paddle game, but you try to catch falling rocks in your buckets instead of bounce the ball around. The intensity grows, the rocks shrink, the paddles shrink, and the speed keeps increasing, making even passing one level a pretty difficult task. My score was 639 on Avalanche. Later on I played Cascade when I came to it again, and this time got a total of 1454. Yeah. Blasto. Move around the board, shoot everything. Bombs explode, but you also get points for shooting the dots. If you hit all the bombs, you get to play a second game for free. Score resets, no continuation, just another complete game. If you manage to shoot all the mines a second time, your game is still over, but hey, 2 for 1's not bad. The controls are a little wonky, rather touchy, but gameplay is quick, easy to pick up, and blasto your way through. Blue Shark, a shooting game themed after killing undersea life. Shark, squid, sailfish, and the occasional diver who, if you don't avoid shooting, you lose 500 points. It's kind of tricky. Gameplay speeds up after 7,000 points. The biggest problem with this game is the annoying sound effects. Why do we have to have a beep noise for every kill? It should just squish or something and move on. You do get an extra game if you score over 18,000 points. My best was 19,300. Seemed to be a new trend this year. Free games for achieving a certain score. Bowling Alley, another Atari bowling game, but some huge improvements have been made in physics and hit detection. The pins spin when the ball hits it, feels generally pretty accurate to the real thing. The ball size is about right, and here again Atari shows their propensity to use a trackball for sporty games, but it's the perfect fit. Just like Golden Tee did so many years down the road, spinning the trackball at high speed at just the right angle is key to controlling and winning this game. There's also 2 modes of gameplay, the standard mode and flash mode. In flash, you score points for strikes and spares and score higher the more quickly you are able to do it. Really fun stuff. Boxer. This is a weak boxing game, a prototype game that didn't play well enough to be released or to be finished. You just flail arms left and right. It's pretty annoying. And I'm a big fan of boxing games. I managed to beat the computer on my first time out, which I guess doesn't say much either way. Clay Buster. Here's a shooting gallery type of game that mimics clay pigeon shooting right in front of a gorgeous waterfall. What redneck has to muck up a beautiful waterfall and swimming hole with a bajillion shot-up clay pigeons? But anyway, you get 4 shots to hit 2 launch targets each round, with the score gradually increasing as the rounds progress and the difficulty ticks up. If you've ever played the classic Nintendo Duck Hunt, you will see the similarities in material here, except without that annoying, belittling dog. Clowns. This is like Circus from 1977, with some changes to the size of characters and the speed that they move about the screen. It's another spin controller game, which again does not work well when you're using a mouse. The precision just isn't there, but it still can be a little fun. I found Circus actually the superior game the previous year. This update just feels less polished, harder to control, and less playfield space. Just overall seemed to take a step backward. Did I toss up a coin and shoot at it to keep it off the ground? If you bounce it into the walls, you'll score big points. Sound weird? Yep. Sound boring? Yep. Worth playing? Yep. But it won't hold your attention very long. Extrainning. This is an update to Tornado Baseball, which is a clone of Double Play. Pretty good play mechanics, although it seems to depend a little more on luck than true skill. Some of the updates they threw into this game are a midway graphic that grows 1 letter for a particular shot. Single, double, triple, left and right sides. And once you get the entire midway filled out, you get a whole extra inning. Oh wow, I can hardly contain my excitement. Seriously, for 1 quarter, you get 1 inning. It's a stingy game. Batting is difficult. The computer plays a tough outfield and doesn't like to lose. It took me a while to finally win the legitimate game here. Fire Truck. Definitely a new incarnation of the Superbug game. It even uses the same inverse colors on extended play mode. But this adds a little variety by having 2 drivers, one for the front, one for the back. And naturally, this could either be helpful or hurtful depending on the skill of your helper. Fire Truck, though, is fearsome to control and just doesn't feel all that fun. The acceleration is quite slow, and once you're up to speed, you better be able to steer with precision, or else there isn't much hope you're going to put out any fires. Frogs. Here's something a little different. At least the action is smooth and purely arcade twitch. It's a timed game, but they offer a free game if you catch the dragonfly at the end. I definitely had some fun with this, being simple enough to learn and enough randomness to make it a challenge to get a good score. GB, the magic of pinball, taken away by putting it in a video game. Pong Pinball, or Breakout Pinball, you really could call this. Top-down, simulated pinball action just doesn't seem to cut it. It's good for a few minutes of playtime, and somewhat fun for a Pong variant. I found the key to scoring is just rack up the bonus points by keeping the ball in play as long as possible. This one totally has that arcade font. Gypsy Juggler. Okay, strange. Same setup as the Deadeye game, but this is like a ball and paddle game with the juggler and up to 4 hacky sacks, balls, juggle objects to play with. Never mind. Inferno. Man, where are all these weird games coming from? I don't really remember any of this junk. Probably because it's junk. Here you have to spray out the fires burning in the windows in this game. Don't spray the person. Okay. This really feels like a reject from the CGA days of the IBM PC. Also plays about as smoothly as one. Orbit. Here's another remake of the classic Space War from the mainframe days back in 1962. Oh, Atari. Seems like you got stuck in a little bit of a rut with your games. And only 30 seconds for a quarter? Lame-o. There's a myriad of options, but they're just confusing upon selecting. All around, not a good game, but still curious to take a look at. And it definitely plays faster than Cinemaware's Space Wars. Seawolf 2. Yeah, finally, a decent game from 1978. This is a cool game for play value, but also historically, because it's the first successful sequel and one of the first games to use extensive color, not just a color overlay on the screen. It came with the cool cabinet, great gameplay, cool sound effects, and you know what? Some hail this as the first modern arcade game. My best was 18,900 with extended play. Shuffleboard. Oh yeah! I've been dying to play Shuffleboard on my computer. Finally I get to! Yeah, not really. It's a strange sport anyway. Seems like a poor choice to make a video game out of. But I guess it's a decent implementation. I ended up learning the rules of Shuffleboard this way, so that's pretty nice. Skydiver. Kind of a fun idea, but would have been better if they let you wait for at least 2 or 3 plane trips in the air before you could estimate to jump out of the plane. As it is, you have to launch really quickly sometimes, and there's hardly more than a split second to decide that you need to jump now. But it's still good for a run or two. Skyraider. This is awesome. This was an unexpected pleasure. It's really creative and a different game for this time. It's like a first-person bombing run, and it runs smoothly and is quick and really fun to play. I eventually got 45,700 after attempting this more than a few times and trying to get that elusive continued play. Space Invaders, an undisputed heavyweight champion. This one's popular around the world and probably the game that did more for arcade history than any other. In fact, it was the home conversion for the Atari 2600, which really became the killer app and helped establish the home arcade market as viable and worthwhile. As for gameplay, this is still fun even today, although its vertical shooting format has been used now countless times and lacks some of its original oomph. But I'm pretty proud that my final score was 5,480 after I learned that special timed shooting thing. I know some people have completely mastered this game, but for a little bit of playtime I thought that was pretty fun stuff. On to Spacewalk. Okay, this is one weird clowns or circus type of game. The main difference is that you are now competing against an on-screen computer opponent. You control one half of the screen and they control the other. You just bounce around a bit and sometimes take off in a rocket ship, which can be aimed before launch. And finally, you score big bonuses by hitting the flying spaceship at the top and clearing rows of balloons like in the original. Kinda weird. Sprint 2. This is a 1 or 2 person continuation of the Sprint series. I actually really enjoy this version. It feels better balanced on the speed, it's not so rough when the other cars crash into you, and the switching of the various tracks automatically while you're playing is a really nice touch of randomness. I was able to get to the extended play mark without too much fumbling around this time, which is a major improvement. Good stuff. Solid Sprint series of games from Atari. Super Breakout. Alright, a nice addition to the Breakout series with the addition of 3 variations on the gameplay. You have progressive Breakout, where the blocks steadily drop lower and lower on the playing field. Double Breakout, where you start with 2 paddles and 2 balls, and that's challenging for sure. And finally, Captive Breakout, which has 2 captive balls that you can free and then add to the number of balls you're trying to keep in play. It's amazing that 6 years after the original, Atari is still finding a way to make Pong games sellable on the market. The colors are great, it's a nice improvement over the original with the gameplay variations, but ultimately it's still Pong. Super 21. At first I was shocked that I only got 1 credit for my 1 quarter. I then proceeded to double that actually a whole bunch of times, and it was up to 24 credits. Little did I know this was built as a redemption game, so in real life I could have cashed in those 24 credits for 24 quarters. $6! Too bad I didn't know about the redemption button. Tournament table has Breakout, soccer, foosball, handball, basketball, and blah 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 blah. Who really cares? Gosh, Atari, it's amazing how much you milked the Pong concept. That's all I have to say. You know, any Pong games that came out after the Atari 2600 I think are just irrelevant. Let's move on already, okay? Ultra Tank. This is a version of Tank that lets you play against a robot opponent. You can also shoot 2 bullets at the same time. The computer is actually pretty difficult. You also earn extended playtime if you are able to top 25 points against, quote, robot. Yeah. I finally did that and beat the computer 54-51, but man, that was close. That's tough stuff. And finally, we have a prototype game that was obviously trying to use some kind of digitized speech as a gimmick. Fire 1, Fire 2. It might sound kind of fun, but it gets pretty old playing for just a few minutes. Supposedly, extended play kicks in at around 16,000 points, but I only made it to 10,800, and it's really tricky, so I wonder if being a prototype, it just really didn't have the scores balanced yet. Also looks quite dated now. And there you go, is a brief overview of the arcade games of 1978. Maybe you saw something you played, maybe you didn't. Hope you found something in there you liked. Make sure you visit our website, vghchannel.com, and you can see all the scores for the different years of the games that we've played and reviewed. Thanks for watching Game Stomper videos. We'll be back soon with more.